Good morning, everybody. It is Friday, Friday. Um, Before we begin, two things. Um, there will not be a journey today, nor will there be a journey Monday, suppose so far. There haven't been a lot of people inboxing through the means that I put, which is the straight talk um, email address. Um, so this season might be a little bit sparse, but I'll still do my daily thing. Um, that's one. And I have a friend on Facebook who is going through some pretty serious cancer issues, and I wanted to put that request out there for you guys to pray for her, Melody Rose. Um, it's some pretty heavy stuff that she's going through. Um, it kind of came out of left field. So if you just keep that in your day to day prayers, that'd be amazing. Um, Today's topic, though, um, a form of godliness, has a good way of culminating the week in that I think a lot of our issues stem from not understanding the power that God possesses. Um, I'll read you the verse that it comes from. This is in Timothy, Second Timothy 3. Know this also that in the last days perilous times will come, for men will be lovers of themselves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, kind of bearing out, uh, without natural affection, bearing out, truce breakers, bearing out, false accusers, bearing out, fierce, despisers of those who are good, definitely bearing out, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. This week has been crazy on both here and Too Strong. And I think this verse culminate, culminates everything. This particular topic culminates everything. Our biggest problem is that we deny God's power. We honestly do not. We don't. We don't believe that He says something and it's factual. One, we don't believe that what He says He could do, He can do, and we don't believe what He's done, He's actually done. We don't. And I think the quicker that believers in the so-called church get that through their head that you don't really believe God is who He says He is, then I think the quicker you can get on board to understanding that God is who He says He is. We like to talk about in platitudes about God. We love to talk in platitudes about God. God is love. God is all present, He's omnipotent, He's omniscient. Oh, God is love. God is everything. But you don't really believe that. It, m- I would say about 90% of the preachers in the world today do not believe what they say about God. I think a lot of us have to admit that at times we don't really believe what He says about Himself. Otherwise, if we really believed what He says was true, there would be no doubt. Like there would literally be no doubt. If we believe that He doesn't lie, there'd be no doubt. If we believed that He fully saved us from all sin, that would bear out. But we We don't. We do not really believe him. We don't take him for his word. We really look at, and it's a tough thing to come to grasp with. Okay, it really is. It is a tough thing to come to grasp with when you understand that you don't trust God to be who He says He is, and you don't even believe Him when He says who He says He is. That's the harder part. Case in point, we can believe that He died, believe that He sent Jesus and rose again. We can believe all that. Okay, at least in verbiage, we can believe that. But when He says it is all nailed to the cross, and He put to death sin, we try to all of a sudden find little reasons why not that didn't mean all, and that, well, you see what that, and that all of a sudden, that part we have a problem with. Then you say you trust him because he's trustworthy, and we call him the great physician. But then when you say or get told you got to put that thing on to stay safe, you comply. You trust man's, but you won't trust God who went around lepers. Hmm. I just find it kind of odd. I just find it kind of odd that we, by nature, say all the things that are good, but we don't really believe it. We deny. You see, we have a form of godliness, but we deny its power. It's a form. We will read everything that happened before he knows the difference. Natural affection, truce breakers, and we think all of that. Yeah, see, that's the stuff we're going to look for in the last day, but we're not looking at the form of godliness in the church. That's in there. After he named all those egregious things, he says, having a form of godliness. That tells you something, right? That those stuff will start existing in the church. All those things will start manifesting itself in the church. Why? Because they have a form of godliness but deny its power. You want to know why there's such a big influx of massive mega churches and the health and wealth gospel take off so well? You want to know why? Because it's easier, way easier to be given something tangibly as proof of God than to take God's word as proof of God. You have to have it tangibly. You're Thomas. You're Thomas. You want to be more Thomas than you want to be anything else. Ain't that interesting? We're not going to be like the guy at the Pool of Siloam. We're not going to be like the lady that touched the hem of his garment. We're not going to be like the lady that broke her alabaster glass. Not going to be like that person. We are more prone to be like Thomas and Jonah than anyone else. But it really stems from the fact that we do not understand that his power is not contingent on our believing it. Just because you don't believe his power exists does not make it less, effective. It does not reduce its efficacy at all. You just won't experience it. Technically, the only person you're harming is your walk, not him. You can't affect him like that. You're going to be the one to suffer. You're going to be the one to lose out. And I'm not talking about blessings. I'm talking about relationship. You'll lose out. It's just so odd that as we go forward and walk in this place, this mortal coil, as you can put it, that we have a innate ability to want to focus on hardship, on stress, on what we got next to do. Here's a small idea of why we deny his power, right? What we're gonna eat, what we're gonna drink. When he directly says that I take care of the lilies of the field, why wouldn't I take care of you? That It's that little thing. When I set you free, you're free indeed. You put the but at the end of it. Little thing. When he says he'll make a way out, we say, but why? Is his word not enough to convince you? And if his word is not enough to convince you, why are you in it? Why do you find yourself in his word if you're not going to be convinced about it? Why is there always a caveat, a but, why? Why is that always the first thing we do? We are notorious for capping off his promises with an open-ended but to leave room for you to screw up. His promise is not contingent on your one, believing it, or two, being able to act it out. His promise is not contingent on your believing. It's not. Simply isn't. Hang on. It's simply not. Outside of you, he is all sufficient to himself. Okay, let's get something straight about who God is. He don't need you. You're not required for his running. You're not required for his existence. You are not required. If tomorrow he wanted to end things, he could. He didn't have to give you time. He doesn't have to. He wants to. Love is compelling him to because he is love, but he doesn't have to. By law, he doesn't have to because he cannot dwell where darkness is. And if darkness is here, he can wipe out darkness if he wanted to. But he's also the kind of guy to be like, you know what? You're going to be without excuse. You can't come and tell me at the end of it, I didn't give you a chance. You're going to be without an excuse by the time I'm done. You can't. But his holiness is not contingent on you believing that he's holy. His holiness is not contingent on you participating in his holiness. His holiness is not contingent on you thinking or believing what he says. But he wants you to take him at his word. We probably won't. Not everybody will. I just don't know what God has planned for my life. You've heard that one? Right? I don't know where He wants me to go. I don't know what He wants me to do. You heard that, right? I can tell you. I can tell you your purpose right now. I can tell you I can tell you what your calling is right now. All of you, I can tell you right now what your calling is. And I can tell you with 100% certainty what your calling is. Right now. I can prophesy your calling right now. You ready? Ready? You ready? Your calling, drum roll, is to know God. That's it. Your calling is to know nothing else. Nothing else. You know what will happen as a result of knowing God? You will tell other people about Him. It's a natural reaction. It's natural. It's natural. It okay. You see little kids when they get a puppy, you cannot shut that child up from telling everybody else that they got a puppy. They will tell everybody about this puppy. Strangers in the mall, in the store, they have a puppy. I have a puppy. My daddy got I have a puppy. And they'll tell you the puppy's name, they'll tell you the puppy's color, they'll tell you everything about this puppy. They are in love with this puppy. It's a natural reaction from the gift that they were given. The gift itself is so great to them that they have to tell everybody, even people they don't know, that they got a puppy. The only thing that doesn't apply to is God for some reason. You really? Um, you deny His power because you don't really know. You hear it, you read it. Do you? Okay, here's a good question. Do you believe that the same God that parted the Red Sea and gave Samson the power to beat 1,000 people with the jawbone of a donkey and to break down a building, the same God that could have people just walk around a wall and it fall down, the same God that could send 2,000 to face 30,000 and win, is the same God that's behind you today? Do you honestly believe that? That the same God that threw fire and brimstone down is the same. Is he the same one that's telling you to come and know him? Hmm? And do you believe do you believe that he can take care of all of your issues the same way he takes care of everybody else's in the past? How many of you are old enough to remember this song? Okay. If you if you remember it from Sunday school, just just type in I remember that or tell me, okay? My God is so big, so strong and so mighty. There's nothing my God cannot do. You remember that song? Remember learning that as a kid? Do you remember that song? Do you remember when you were a child that you believed that? Do you still believe that? Like, honestly believe it? Like, when he says you're forgiven of all your sins and sin no more is a real thing because he means it, because he can do it for you, believe that? And that even in your state as you are right now, because of your knowledge of that, it will compel you to not? Do you not believe that? Do you need to have an excuse to keep doing something? Or an excuse as to why you keep doing something? Because you're that absent-minded of who he is? You are that listen to me, you are that absent-minded of who God is that you can't help but do stuff because of who you are in your flesh. That's what you're trying to tell me? Just be honest and say this. You choose. You choose. Not absent-minded, not all of a sudden. It's choice. You willingly ignore who he is for what you want. That's a good place to start. It's okay to start there. That you really just want what you want. And that is why you have no reason to cap off that but on the end of the statement. As long as you can leave that but open, you can give an excuse for what you do because grace. You will take the power of his forgiveness, but not the power of his removal of the things that would even make you have to ask forgiveness, right? What has nothing to do with God's power, Valerie? Please tell me what has nothing to do with God's power. I'm curious about this one. Remember, every time, just remember, every time. Let's see, this is one of those times. What has nothing to do with God's power, Valerie? I'm curious to see if I'm reading this wrong. What has nothing to do with God's power? Our believing it? I agree. Our believing God's power has nothing to do with God's power. If that's what you mean, fully agree. Fully agree with you 100%. He told you he made a way for you to avoid something. If there is a way for you to avoid something every time, because there's nothing that has come upon you that he has not created a way out for. There isn't a single thing that befalls you today that he has not given you a way out so that you won't fall. His words. If that is true, how do you keep falling? It has to be that you don't pick it. It has to be your choice. It has zero to do with the fact that he made it possible for you not to, which means it is possible for you not to. Ve- Oh, so possible. The problem is you want what you want, so you leave that open. And if you can leave it open, you can make a case for God's grace to exist, thereby doing exactly what Paul said not to do. Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? You continue to leave the distance between you and God because you want it. So then you have to ask yourself, did you fully accept salvation? Salvation is a complete removal from that thing's power. We are not talking about the end when he comes back, full embodiment of him in us. We're not talking about that. Salvation is death to sin. If we're dead, how can we continue any longer in it? His words for the current time, not for the future, for current time. Don't talk to me about this. Oh, we will have this heavenly celestial body. I'm not talking about that. The knowing fully thing and seeing him face to face. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about you denying the power right now that he tells you that you have through him today. Again, his words, not mine, not mine. He said he'll makes a way out that you can't fall. He tells you he killed sin. He put sin to death. He took us out from the power of sin and death. Did he not? Yes, he did. He put us in his perfect life. All of this stuff is true. He said it, not me, his words, not mine, not putting anything out of those were his words. Yet still, man wants to say, I get all that, but my sinful nature. God, you don't understand. My sinful nature is stronger than what you just did. You have to understand, God. Listen, God, listen, listen. You might have died and put sin to death, but you just don't understand how strong sin is. You do not understand it. I know that you think you died for all of it, bro, but look, listen, let me tell you. You don't live my life. You don't understand how strong this is. I have to do this. It's not in me to stop. I'll keep asking you for forgiveness, but I'm going to keep struggling with this for my till I die. You understand that, right? That's only because you might be God, but you don't understand sin. I understand that you killed it, but it's still here. What? Really? Form of godliness, denying its power. Is that you? Is that you? Is that you? Because I think sometimes it might be us. I think a lot of times we deny the fact that he said something in order to keep what we want going. Then you have to ask yourself again, like I said, did you really and are you really participating in and believing him? It's just crazy to me. Um, that's the question you have to ask yourself. That's what you have to ask yourself. I'll leave you with this thought. This whole week we have talked about the church, we've talked about pastors, we've talked about your walk. Thank you, Cheryl. He was resurrecting a new flesh and not just a spirit being for a reason. If we continue in the sin in the flesh, we will not enter. If we rely on God's grace alone, we do not repent completely from our sin until after Jesus returns to repent. We will be saved by God's grace alone and enter his heavenly realm as a spirit being. Okay, I can't keep track of what you're saying fully here. I can't keep track fully of what you're saying. You have to retype that one. I can't keep track of it. Not very clear. He put us in his life, and we are in his life. His. We're not a slave to the sinful nature because he made a way out from it, and we can indeed live a life free from it. His words. And in that living a life free from it, we become more close to him. The whole purpose of man is to fear God. And you get a reverent fear of God when you know him. And he's invited you to know him. That's your whole purpose, to know him. Once you know him, you know your place before him, he can divvy your path forward. He will divvy your path forward. You don't have to go and force a calling. because it's something that you want to do. He'll put you on a path that you may not want to do. He may put you somewhere you don't want to be. You never thought you'd be. You don't think you're equipped to be, but he can make you equipped for it. He can make you ready for it. That's why you need to know him. That's why everything else is irrelevant. When you put an emphasis on your calling, who cares about your calling outside of not knowing him? If you don't know him, what value is your calling? What value is the calling you think you have if you don't know him? What are you going to tell people exactly? Stuff you don't know? Hmm? That's what you're going to do? Just tell them stuff you don't know? Your first purpose is to know him. And when you're done knowing him, he will put you where you need to go. That's what you need to do. You can't tell the world about something you don't know. It isn't possible. You'd be lying. You'd be a fake. Bamboozler. Again, Cheryl, we are not talking about that. We are not talking about heaven. We're talking about now. We're not talking about the new earth. We're talking about now. We are talking about what's possible right now. This looking forward thing, this looking forward into the future thing, you can't be looking forward if you can't see the rock right in front of you. That trip rock right in front of you. You're looking for this glorious resurrection while here, right now, there's a rock in front of you keeping you from even getting there. We're talking about here, now. He didn't put me in a future life. That's to come. He put me in his life now. To know him now. Here. Not to get blessings. Not to put him first here, now. To experience the power that he put here, now. The power over sin and death here, now. That full manifestation will only happen if you know him here and now. You waiting for some future pie in the sky thing will never happen if you don't have it now. You're gonna be like those foolish virgins waiting. Yeah, we're waiting for him to show up. Are you not gonna get some oil and trim your lamps? You're not gonna do that? Ah, I'll be fine. By the time he gets here, it'll be okay. That's what you're doing. All 10 of them knew that he was coming. All of them knew. They knew he was coming. They were waiting for him. All were. The difference is that 5 were prepped already because they did what was necessary in the time that they had waiting for him. The others were just waiting. And when he shows up, everything will be fine. No, no, now, now. Again, form of godliness denying its power. Form of godliness denying its power. Indeed, big, indeed. How would you feel if there was a disease that infected the world, but only your child could heal its infection? You sacrifice your child to heal the world, but no one acknowledged it. They didn't even take the cure. That's how it is when you deny him. Listen, if you don't get on board now, don't expect to be a late comer and think you're gonna bust in the back door and get on it don't work like that, bro. It don't work like that. He's giving you this time to prep, to pack, get your sundry items together, get your clothes ready, take your shower, get your oil, get your lamp. Well, Cheryl, you keep waiting. You keep waiting. Okay, Cheryl, keep waiting. Keep waiting. Keep waiting, Cheryl. Have fun waiting with your dry oil lamp. Have fun. Okay? Have fun. Have fun. Apparently, you're not very good at listening either. You're not very good at listening at all. You're not good at listening. I'm surprised you're even in here still. But I expected you to be in here. I really did expect someone like you to be in here. Here's why. Because when you talk about stuff like this, one of his minions always show up. Always. Always. Wow. Oh my word. Bro. Because I said that the future kingdom doesn't matter, right? That's what I said. Oh, Cheryl. Oh, man alive. Anyhow, that's my encouragement to you guys. Okay. God did what he did to put you on a path of knowledge of him. The knowledge of him is what will yield your outcomes. The true knowledge of who he is will yield your outcomes. The true knowledge. He is giving you new life in his son. That's what he did. That new life can have full reign over death in your life currently. If you would only die to self and follow. When you've died to self and get to know God fully, sin is not a problem. It's not. The same way kid talking about the puppy is inevitable. It's going to be a result. It has its own nature, and that nature will be lived out if you're in it. If you're not in that nature, you won't be living it out, and you'll have a problem living something out that you are thinking you're in. It's that easy. Have not figured out next week's schedule yet, um, but please be on the lookout for the layout. Be on the lookout for the layout. Um, we will talk more probably about this topic in the next week or so because I think it is something that we need to talk more about to drive home. Um, we'll address Cheryl one last time to show you exactly why the church is in the state that it's in. You ready? This is why the church is in the state that it's in. Listen to Cheryl. New life will only come after the evil of this earth is destroyed off. It's all around us. This is what the tribulation is in the Bible. Read Revelation where we are right now. In other words, I'm going to keep on sinning because I can and because I'm supposed to. That's Cheryl. Cheryl thinks that the church and Christians today are supposed to keep on sinning because, hey, the earth is evil. This is where we are. My new life doesn't start at all until after the resurrection of the whole earth. When the new earth and everything comes, after the whole thing comes to an end, then I can no longer sin. Then I have a new life. Meanwhile, Jesus says he is the new life, and you have to come to the Father through him. That's already now. But she is under belief, just like the current church. This is the excuse that these sinners give themselves. This is why I say they don't know God. This is them. You have no option but to sin because this earth is fallen. I can't live any new life now. It's impossible. The earth is fallen. There's no new life. This is not even a form of godliness at this point. This is not even a form of godliness at this point. This is a form of godlessness. Ain't that interesting? I feel for you, Cheryl. I really do. But at the same time, I don't. Because you're willfully ignorant to the Bible and you're willfully ignorant to God. You're gonna have to divvy that up with him, not me. You gonna have to square that circle with God. You don't have to explain yourself to me at all. You have explained yourself enough to tell me that you are ignorant to the truth of things. That's okay. Feel free to live there. Enjoy that space. Have at it. Have at it. Woman, have at it. Have at it. But you gonna have to figure that out and tell God that he was lying when he said I gave you a new life. You gonna have to tell God he is a liar, not me. I hope you have enough nuts when you see him to do that. Okay? Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. When you see him, tell him that he lied. You keep that exact. I hope you have this much guts when he confronts you. Why didn't you believe I gave you new life? Look, 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 look at this clown. And you're a clown at this point. It is interesting that you do not believe in Jesus as God's son resurrected in new flesh. Oh my God. They're serious, guys. They're serious. They're out there. They're exactly uncommon, strong delusion. Strong delusion. But this is how Satan works, right? This is how Satan works. He'll send his minions. When you're getting something meat, he wants to bring something, not even milk. He gonna bring you candy. He gonna bring you Skittles, sugar, honey. Satan's minions will do this for you. In any case, people, you know what your father said. You know where you were. You know where he placed you. So live like it. Live like it. Allow him to live the life he wants to live through you. So that at the end of it all, you will be just waiting in glorious expectation. You just get to continue it, but in his presence. This is the best part of it is that you're going to be doing it now away from his presence in person, but at that time you'll be doing it in full effect, full glory in his presence. It'll be the most massive upgrade you ever saw in your life. It'll be epic, but you got to start here. You got to start here. Um, I will have the schedule out hopefully by Sunday. And if you do have suggestions about topics, now hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. When you give suggestions, hear me out. I will not tackle certain topics. Okay. I will not tackle certain topics. Um, but when you send them in, don't get mad if I don't tackle the topic you suggest. That's my only caveat. Okay. I will not. Okay. Just understand that. Don't get mad if I don't. I'm selective with what I tackle. So suggest what you want, but understand that if I don't tackle yours, Um, again, Carol, if anybody has suggestions, I have an email on my YouTube. Send it there. If you go to my YouTube channel, um, you'll find my email address there. Okay, it is called Straight Talk MB at Outlook.com. The easiest way to access it, though, way easier, is to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe. That way you have access to the About page in my YouTube channel. There's the email right there. Send it there. I'm not telling you what topics I won't discuss. Just send your topics, and if yours doesn't get discussed, then you'll know. Kablam. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. Straight Talk MB at Outlook.com. Yes. Pretty easy email. Straight Talk was taken, so I had to put my initials on the end there. So, okay. Send your topics in. No guarantees it'll be next week, but I have to get my week prepped out, so look for that. Before I dip, commercial break. All right, Daddy Daughter Talk. You want to go check them out as well. That's Corey's new channel, um, and it is really cool stuff. If you have not checked it out yet, you're going to want to. He's helping fathers and mothers and parents in general and kids learn how to communicate with their parents, learn how to communicate with each other. I think it's very much needed, especially today. Kids need to be able to tell their parents what's going on. And there's the link for that one. Okay, there's that one. So, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Don't forget tomorrow, though. Tomorrow at 1 Eastern, we're having that all female panel. Okay, that all female panel is tomorrow. Don't miss that one. You're gonna want to catch that one. Okay, so we'll catch up tomorrow, um, and we'll chat then. Y'all have a good rest of the day, and remember, wisdom calls to you from the street. Please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.
Hold tight the dreams, for if dreams die, rely on yourself and no